organization.
And you can see that trophy on your screen right now. What is on the line as Game 1 has begun?
Now, we were looking as well at the previous picks and bans for both of these teams, and they have kind of condensed a lot of the similar champions being prioritized by both of them. The Kog'Maw was played very heavily in the semifinals by both of these teams. Maybe Cody Sun and Double Lift look for these later game hyper carries. Ardent Sensors could be in there, but a lot more playmaking supports.
Yeah, and there's also been a lot of AD carry bans. Lucian is now a mid lane ban, even if he is an AD carry. Kalista and Trist are often in the same ban phase. And then you also have to add the Double Lift had Ashe banned against him in all of the semifinals games, so it's some scouting intel that some team must have had on TSM. So I'm wondering how much of the draft phase will be focused around that bottom side of the map. Already, another AD carry ban flies through.
There's the Kog'Maw that we talked about, but with all these AD carry bans, the jungle has left unbanned, and Gragas is very important, you know, for both of these junglers. Sejuani is still in the mix as well, and with all the highlights on Smithy and Olay, maybe that would be an early focus.
Yeah, and this is interesting right here with Tristana being up, but also things like Gragas being a priority pick potentially in the jungle. TSM will have to make this choice of whether or not they want to leave Svenskeren a little bit vulnerable to whatever Xfinity picks.
Hanser call back to his own tweet. Rakan going to be the first pick here of the North American LCS Summer Finals. All supports left up on the table here, and they say, Biofrost, you get the first draft of this one.
Rakan has been a tremendously high ban rate support on patch 7.16 around the world. Tremendous initiation, which as the teams get better and are better at avoiding general initiations, the strength of Rakan's instantaneous engage becomes much greater.
And Xayah is still available here with the focus on Tristana there for Immortals and a little bit more towards the late game. It could very well be Double Lift as well, getting the partner to Rakan.
Might just happen right here. You're going to see Flame able to grab his second most played. If it doesn't go to Xmithy here, this Jarvan, of course, a very highly prized flex pick as well. So far, a good tier list draft for both these teams.
Yeah, a lot of power picks being traded back and forth, and we see that when there are so many AD carry bans, it leaves a lot of the power picks up on the table. We'll now have to see what choices TSM decides to make, because Gragas can match the Jarvan, even though it's not as flexible between the top lane and the jungle. And then here, you wonder if they're going to be picking Double Lift's AD carry. There's been so many AD carry bans, there is potential for so many more, and you wonder if they're going to lock one in right here.
Yeah, you'd expect to see a Xayah ban pretty likely if they don't grab it here for themselves, and they are going to grab it before the bans can come through. The crystal ball so far very clear on this one. TSM have locked in, likely the jungle and their bot lane.
And this is a tremendous amount of playmaking ability here already in the first phase for TSM. Rakan's extremely long-range initiations are actually very reliable, and you can use that in conjunction with Gragas to get the fights that you're looking for. But Galio is another one of the champions who's been very highly prized and banned extremely often.
And Immortals have played this kind of comp a lot, where the only late game carry is Cody Sun on the Trist or the Kog'Maw, and it's a bunch of hard engaged melee champions everywhere else in the lineup, and with Jarvan Galio, it's looking like that.
Exactly. When we first saw Galio come out, a lot of people were theorizing what's the best divers to combo with this champion. Jarvan has shown up as a very, very strong case, and we'll see if Smithy actually gets off to a good start, because when you're trying to use that duo, you need your jungler to have a good start so that he's not too squishy to die before the Galio is even able to arrive.
We'll see who comes into this one. Orianna, Sejuani off the table so far. TSM seems to think that Jarvan's going to the top lane, and the stats say it will be. No Corki allowed for Bjergsen either. 2 straight mid lane bans for the Immortal squad. Expect that Galio to go mid.
Yeah, no surprise, Bjergsen absorbs a lot of bans as usual. Most banned against player in the North American LCS. And also TSM often waits until the end of the draft to pick his mid laner because they know he can eat so many bans. Up against Galio, we have actually seen Gangplank be a counter pick to it, but that would run counter to what TSM is doing so far in this draft with very early game engage focused stuff.
I think I really like this Alistar ban as well from TSM, trying to attack one of the huge playmakers for Immortals. Olay was on fire in conjunction with Smithy, creating early plays around Pobelter, and that was the first step in allowing Pobelter to roam.
Cho'Gath going to be a top lane pickup. Jarvan will go down to the jungle, but it does add some late game insurance here for Flame. Cho'Gath scales incredibly well in the top lane.
Yeah, he does scale well, but it's also fairly risky against a Gragas and having to blind the Cho'Gath, because now the one weakness for Cho'Gath in lane is his gank ability. He shoves fairly quickly with all of his spells, even if he has good dueling, and isn't very good at escaping ganks, which Gragas can bring fairly frequently.
The other thing is that if you can pressure him off of the minion wave, you can deny the main sustain that he has in his kit from the passive. And that is a big part due to the jungler matchups. Here we go, though. Haunter is going to get one of those semi-range matchups with Gnar to try and bully.
Gnar should be pretty solid into a fairly slow champion like the Cho'Gath. It is interesting that to see that Ole has not grabbed his champion yet. They blinded the Cho'Gath, even though they know the bot lane they're against. Syndra comes through for Bjergsen, one of his most notable champions here in the mid lane, as TSM have rounded out the composition with, as you mentioned before, aggression and lane priority almost everywhere here, and their early pressure should be solid for TSM.
Yeah, Bjergsen with the Syndra is going to be strong in the team play, because up against Galio, it's very easy for Galio to buy an early Spectre's Cowl into an adaptive helm and pretty much ignore a lot of the damage Syndra can throw out there. So it's actually a fairly risky pick, I feel like, for Bjergsen to have the Syndra there in the mid lane.
So it looks like every single player on every single team has some form of hard crowd control. Tristana just barely checks the box right there. And we'll see who can get the hard engages to come through, but it is Immortals. Though they have the Cho'Gath top to add a little bit, it is a lot of emphasis on Cody's son for the late game damage up, but TSM much more well-rounded in that regard.
And with the last pick Morgana here, it also puts a lot of emphasis on the timings for Ole. Rakan, his initiations are so quick, you also have to worry about your spacing so that two members do not get caught up.
Yeah, Ole was playing Morgana before a lot of other guys were in the North American LCS. Even the spring split Ole, it almost seemed like he could only play those skill shot champions, and he's diversified a lot in the summer split. So definitely a lot of comfort there on the Morg, but as Kobe just mentioned, an incredibly high burden for execution against this TSM composition to get those black shields at just the right time.
We'll see who can pilot the compositions better. Going to be an interesting one to watch for. Skill test in the LAN environment. Can you black shield the engagements in time? We saw the Janna played by Adrian yesterday was able to stuff some of those engages on reaction. So if Ole can do the same to block out some of Biofrost's big plays, certainly he was an MVP candidate. All team support. An incredible player so far. Ole really has made a name for himself. This split in particular on Immortals, he's risen to the task, and Immortals with their first ever finals performance. Similarly, TSM have never missed one. This makes 10 straight for them, hoping for their third straight championship. Immortals hoping for their first ever. As we load ourselves into the first game, lineups on your screen one more time. And ready to load into the game. Here's Summoner's Rift.
And in these high pressure environments on the stage in front of thousands of people, oftentimes teams can be a little bit lax on the basics and the fundamentals early on in the game. Yesterday, we saw so many level 1 kills in the third place match. Even simple preparation, things like that, or special moves you have planned to try and get advantages in level 1. Teams bring those out in big moments like this.
That's why it's so important. There are a lot of veterans in this first game. Smithy, Pobelter, most of TSM been here before on this stage. And Biofrost has already snuck his way into the Immortals jungle.
See if they get any information they need.
If he would to be spotted, he would have the kit to be able to make an escape without summoner spells.
They're gonna look for Smithy here, gonna take a barrel. A little bit of damage here, and he's forced to flash away from the battle dance.
That's huge for TSM, because when you talk about Smithy and his unpredictability and his control on the game, that all works with Jarvan's kit, who's one of the most unpredictable junglers in the game, being able to start one buff and gank or do a half clear and gank and have such threat. But without Flash, that becomes so much riskier for him to do.
And not only do they burn the Flash, it was also a charge of the refillable potion that Smithy used. He did not have time to go back to the fountain to refill it, and there is a ward on his red buff. So TSM are starting out with some extra information. Immortals during that time have stuck in, and they put their own ward on TSM's red buff to see this extremely strong pull. Then Scarron will be super leashed up to the top side of the map.
One more auto to smite range, and he's actually going to save that summoner spell, it looks like, and use it for another camp later on. He can whip one without too much difficulty. And yeah, Sven basically a full camp ahead right now as Jarvan goes to his own camp. Pobelter will ward to see the blue buff taken.
Yeah, but it's not just one team who can help out their jungler. Pobelter, as Galio, has that incredibly powerful level 1 shove, able to get the ward at least onto Sven Scarron's blue to be able to figure out how quickly he's jungled. And once he shows on that...
Ooh, wow. And Cody's son without rocket jump yet. He's still level 1, has to burn another flash. That is 2 Biofrost, has already pulled summoners out.
Biofrost is playing without fear here in the finals.
Too many minions to go for that. If Immortals had the wave push right there, that would have been a rocket jump in and you know, force summoners out of TSM, but TSM had shoved more early on, and no way to go in for that.
Look at xMithy though, double buff clear, doesn't even hit level 3, and immediately threatens the blue buff. Svenskeren actually respecting that very well. They did spot him with a river ward, but doesn't want to tango with Jarvan this early.
Yeah, part of the reason for the altered route here from Smithy, you gotta believe, is the fact that he doesn't have flash, and it will be a riskier early game for him. So he wants to get to that Scuttle Crab before Svenskeren on a normal route would try and go clear it. Jumps in there, level 2, and now Smithy's just gonna try and farm back up off of his Raptors.
Yeah, and that's so important with the Gnar versus Cho'Gath top lane. Being able to lend support to the Cho'Gath early on, especially if he's beyond the halfway point of the lane. That's why he wanted the Scuttle Crab and why they want control of this top side so bad.
And you can see, this is the reason. Even with Flame putting his trinket
snuck
ward
through everything currently.
They don't know Smithy's here. They don't know that he's on Krugs right now, and it'd be hard to guess, to be honest. See if they find themselves the gank. Flame is still TP up, but see if he's gonna get away with this one. Body Slam's in range. He's gonna try to bait the flash, and Flame doesn't pop it just yet. Now being slowed down, but can he survive? 200 HP left, and he does get away. And Smithy comes in, lands a slow, but no, not much more to have.
The patience by Flame there, not burning the flash early, dodging the body slam, not falling for a faked body slam flash from Svenskeren. Very critical as far as the return ganks are concerned.
This is actually in the knowledge of TSM, and they've got an extra member there in the brush. They're baiting this one in because they saw Smithy on the ward.
But he's on the ward. If that TP completes, oh, the ward's actually died off. And he knows the ward died, so
just saw it.
They don't know for sure.
Now they can go
They don't know Svenskeren's here.
And here comes the engage on a Flame. He does still have the flash. He's gonna get away from the stun out of Hanser. Gets away with it.
And that's why saving the flash was so key.
Yeah.
If he did not have the flash there, that most likely would have been first blood.
Well, a nice attempt right there. TSM getting something out of it. But Immortals right now, actually the team with the gold lead, and it's a lot of that in the bot lane. 32-17, Cody's son over double lift. The binds, the damage up, but they've done really well. And that is not just a 20-stack wave waiting to be farmed. That is an outright CS lead for the Immortals duo. A year of insane improvement for these two out of Immortals. One of the major reasons they have made the final here. These two have been absolutely excellent.
This could also buy some time for Olay to start that roaming game with Smithy. One of the greatest strengths that we keep talking about with Immortals is the duo of Olay and Smithy getting their deep vision down. Right now, Smithy with the bottom lane pushed up, goes for it by himself, and it is a bit risky as Pobelter is actually pushed into his turret right now. Timing works out very well, though. Finishes just in time on the Raptor and is able to slink away.
And a lot of that is punishment for how much time was spent with that gank, of course. He knows the amount of time it takes Sven to recall back. Smithy had done that before. And Raptors, credit to Immortals, the game's still staying 300 up for the upstarts, the Insurgents, the ones hoping to take down TSM in this series. We'll see as Smithy gets back to his side of the map. Quick defensive scuttle will keep his bot lane safe, and Sven's going topside anyway.
Yeah, I also want to point out the support itemization here. So many people have been going Ancient Coin on every support, whereas Olay did opt to go for the Frostfang this game. That is part of the reason they were able to threaten so much in the 2v2, the added damage as well as AP from that item, even though long-term is going to earn less gold than Biofrost's Ancient Coin. It has helped in granting the CS lead bottom.
The other thing that helps there is that Olay is actually landing his bindings in lane and hitting that harassment. Oftentimes, the Morgana lanes will swing very heavily depending on the skill shot accuracy.
Body slam buys a bit of distance, so they still trade knockups and damage output. Forces the camp to reset, so Smithy losing a few more seconds. Sven right now still holding a level lead over his opponent. Wave clear comes through, Olay wants a bind, gets it over the wall, lands it, forces the cleanse out. Bjergsen stays safe.
Still relatively big there because Pobelter can use Flash Taunt on the Galio the next time Bjergsen's there and potentially force the flash.
That's why it's incredibly important to pay attention to these river wards. The early game pink wards coming out, control ward on the bottom side to allow that route for Olay to roam up. They want to keep that clear, so every time that the bottom lane of Immortals do get lane pressure, they can try and threaten mid lane as well.
And some of that priority is actually how Pobelter played the lane. He recalled and TP'd back in around level 3 with a control ward, put that down in that brush you can see in the minimap there, and he's kept that alive the entire time, so there's always a safe path up for Olay.
Another bind lands, and you can see the chunk on a double lift there, already going to half health. Just the Doran's Blade and his Keystone Mastery to sustain him. So a lot of early pressure being applied by Immortals here. Also hitting level 6 on the Galio and the Cho'Gath. It might be time for them to make a play.
It could even be time for TSM to try and curb this aggression in the bottom lane as well. you have to respect level 6. For this Xayah Rakan combo, it's extremely threatening. And if they bring some jungler presence, it is a possibility, even with the defensive wards, to slink around.
I'm so curious how this could play out, depending on if Ole and Cody Sun hit 6 first. Right now, though, Svenskeren is 6. He will walk through a control ward, but he would have to go straight away. Hasn't been spotted yet. Got to go.
All right, well, Black Shield is available. He's got to get somehow past Cody's Sun. Black Shield
time
is
it.
late. He laid on the Black Shield. The Featherstorm could come through. Jumps away with the explosive cast. Grabs first blood. Cody's Sun just really got his flashback. So goes down.
Two things happened right there. Cody Sun was trying to time his rocket jump so he could ignore the CC of the body slam, but he cast it too early, got hit by it, and the Black Shield was missing.
That's the key. There's no reason to have to rely on that. Ole was further up the lane, so Cody Sun was very clearly the target here. And there's no reason not to early Black Shield in this scenario right there. It cost them first blood, and the veterans are able to strike first.
There is an opportunity here where Cody Sun said he's okay with the rocket jump and Ole was saving the Black Shield for himself, but then they used both. Black Shield late and the rocket jump is down.
The only thing Ole would have saved it for would be to use it on himself if there was a flash recon initiation onto him instead. But using his summoner spell early would have got them out. Regardless, this leaves us in a world where TSM's bottom lane completely fires back. They right the ship, even though the kill didn't actually go over. Pushing them out and getting the kill evened up the CS.
And we have to credit the timing of that gank from Svenskeren. Cody Sun and Ole were pushed up in lane because they've had the advantage and were about to hit level 6 and seriously threatened. And they had the control ward in the river, but because Svenskeren ganked at level 6 without hesitation, the instant he was spotted by that ward, he moved into the lane. It helped in securing that first blood.
Taking away some of the farm away from Smithy, but now maybe a repeat, an attempt. Looking to force Bjergsen now. He gets away with it. Gets some of the gold taken away. Now this time around, an early enough Black Shield prevents the quickness of doing much. Out back goes Doublelift, and Biofrost nearly goes down. Somebody comes in time for the Xayah to keep the lover alive, and TSM's bot lane stays up for it.
Teleports for top lane are available as well, and even though they have to worry about interruptions, these bottom lane skirmishes could very well develop into more members joining the party very quickly once the summoner spells start to go down.
Galio and Jarvan are on their way, or at least threatening. They need to push them off the turret. Depending on how much respect is given, dictates whether or not Immortals send more.
Looks like TSM still kind of sitting around. Got Doublelift wanting XP. They know the wave is mostly gone, and no dive just yet.
As soon as he sees Pobelter back in lane, he knows he's out of range for that Galio ultimate, so Doublelift comes back to the wave, doesn't want to give up any more experience.
Stays at -5 right now, but that turret dangerously low. You know if Immortal pulls the trigger on a big play, they can likely knock that one down. Hanser just recalled himself, Flame the same, so both top laners ready on full items. Flame actually with a fully Righteous Glory completion as well. Maybe can use that for an engage, but otherwise holding equal in the lane. His flash back up, so Svenskeren's gank up there has not purchased too much advantage anymore. We'll see what comes next, though. 400 gold difference across these teams. Farm back and forth, been pretty close. So a nice ward by Sven will help track Pobelter's roaming.
Yeah, lane's evening out a lot as well. Just looking at the CS, Bjergsen with a slight lead over Pobelter. The Mercury Treads built for the Galio, so very defensive opening. And Biofrost was hoping to make it over there for the Blast Cone.
And he jumps in right in the face of a Galio, or sorry, a Gragas, but stays alive.
Every time Xmithy shows forward, you have to be ready for the Galio to come in with them. The Cataclysm threat, he's always trying to force the flash because the instant Xmithy can get a flash out, it means he can Cataclysm, and that will guarantee the hero's entrance CC from the Galio.
And here's attempt number 2. Galio roams down towards the river, then comes right back up. They notice that Gragas is around. A nice deep ward placed down earlier by Ole. Spots that Svenskeren's around to defend, but still Immortals are constantly itching for the chance to knock that turret down.
And TSM were sending Bjergsen even slightly down to the bottom side in case there was a full-on roam and dive to the bottom side. TSM with that risky play where Biofrost went for the invade without Doublelift even there, they did get some shallow wards within the jungle. So these see Xmithy every time he exits the jungle here onto the bottom side, and now they have a little bit more information to work with.
Biofrost just wait for the bind now. The quickness is in. They've got a lot of damage, and Ole pops the Black Shield, stays alive, gets the ulti in as well. Forces them right back out, but now low health on Doublelift, forced to ulti away with the Featherstorm. With the rocket jump to chase, here comes Galio, and the TP flank for Cho'Gath. There is no way out for the TSM duo. This could be the first kill in for Immortals. They knock him down. Ole lands the binding. Now 2 alone under the turret. They're gonna knock down Pobelter, push him into the wall. Hanser, and then with the setup, low health, and Hanser with the Boulder Toss knocks one down. A 1-for-1 under the turret. Here comes Bjergsen. Immortals not a lot of ways out. Jumping back in, looking to knock down the mid lane. Another bind's gonna land. The knockback, Codyson gets the kill and the reset, and Ole gets out. But Cho'Gath not gonna stay alive. The Void Monster gonna be knocked down by Hanser. 2 for 2 so far in this fight, and out goes the retreat.
Yep, they're not done yet. One boomerang slow does land, but the binding also disengages there, and Immortals get out. 2 for 2, pretty close there in the end, but man, that was an extremely deep dive by Immortals.
Yeah, and that's the fight we've been waiting for. We know Immortals has been pressuring that bottom lane turret, chipping away, trying to get the first turret bonus, and TSM has been camping down there for the most part, waiting to try and call the dive and counter gank. And we get both things happening, and the execution ends up being a 2 for 2. As Kobe mentioned, a very deep dive. It does start, actually, with a TSM initiation. The Black Shield is late, so to speak. Ole eats the CC, but they're the first ones to teleport, and then TSM has to react.
Codyson here goes extremely deep. They had communication prep for it. Pobeltar already with the ultimate auto, but that means they have no Galio ultimate for the actual turret dive. They do take down Double Lift. All the teleports start coming in, and you see on the minimap, Bjergsen has already started roaming. So even though Immortals with the numbers, they're trapped.
Yeah, and Hanser had great Mega Gnar timing to get the double stun. If that stun lands for Bjergsen, it could be a different fight because it would delay the jump for Immortals onto him. He was trying to cut them off, got jumped on first, so a failed flank that makes it a 2 for 2.
Watch back as we go to the bot lane.
They persist.
Pretty much auto nearly kills the turret. Here comes the re-engage. No Black Shield behind it, gets popped right away. Codyson trying to run, and he barely flashes it away. The chase in, and Biofrost flashes in for the Gleaming Quill, and the auto attack for the kill. Now the re-engage as the Immortals want in. They will get the stun on a 1, but do they have the damage after the bind? They do not. So a 1 for 0. Clean fight for TSM. The re-engage, they found Ole. The explosive comes, pulls them back in. An absolute beauty out of TSM. Looking for a third, but Pobeltar able to walk away. 2 for 0, TSM still a great fight.
Biofrost is really making Immortals pay for letting them have this recon. Constant engagements, and now they're on the turret. It is dangerous. Smithy looking for an angle.
Waiting to defend it, he has the damage of it, going right back in onto Svenskar and forced to flash away, but he's locked under the turret, and a trade kill comes in for Immortals, making it 2 for 1 overall. Flash away, just barely survives, not even close, baby. Xfinity survives.
The first turret is so juicy for both of these teams. They are overcommitting, going for it, and more so, these teams are punishing with their numerous engage tools to shut down the first turret kills.
Even with all this action in the last replay, I just want to note that TSM also got back on the map, and they took the Ocean Drake that was there. Now, let's get into this replay as Codyson almost thought he escaped here, but Biofrost flashes for the re-engagement, and then during the Morgana ultimate, they do kite out, but Bjergsen has arrived.
Yeah, when Bjergsen arrives, Immortals realizes it is 3v4 because they have already lost their AD carry. Biofrost again with a sustained initiation to pick up another kill.
And Svenskar with a great Gragas ultimate to capitalize on that recon initiation. Nice combo from those two.
And this one was a little strange because it's not like they didn't know Xmithy was there.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, moves to the side and think, yeah, we can dive this huge Galio, but Svenskar ends up being very low, bursted first. TSM has used most of their major cooldowns aside from the Syndra ultimate before that, and it's not quite enough to pick up the extra kill.
First turret they go to Immortals, by the way, during that replay.
They got it!
So it finally comes through. First Drake to TSM, first turret to Immortals ties the gold.
See that CSD at 15 is in the favor of Immortals. This game, oftentimes during the regular season, Doublelift would win that lane, but the pressure for Immortals in that lane was immense early on.
And we have seen quite a few of the Xayah Rakan combos fall behind in CS early on. That's one of the things in the COG game that they talked about because they play that duo every single time. And the matchups really are kind of warping a lot of the CS numbers to keep in mind which champions people are playing.
Of course. It actually does have a overall losing record statistically in CSD, so a bit to be expected, but still a pretty much tied game. Immortals now on a small gold lead here, but a pretty early Ocean Drake can supplement a lot in early laning phase and even some mid-game team fighting. Taking a turret afterwards, something like that. Infernal Drake next up, spawning 20-ish minutes into this one, and we'll see as both dual lanes now head to the top side. Finished S3 for Doublelift, but plenty of damage for Codyson as well. Either one can do explosive damage to the other.
Yeah, and TSM actually opts to match dual lanes up top side instead of going bottom for that last few hits on the turret. I think they're confident in Hanser's ability to reach that turret. He picked up 2 kills in the fight's bottom lane, completed his Black Cleaver, and is pretty strong against that Cho'Gath in a 1v1 at this point. So I think Hanser should actually be able to take that turret down against Cho'Gath.
see that has come through. Right now they've been fairly equal in lane phase farm department, but yeah, definitely Gnar should be able to push. We'll see as a bit of ward control comes through for the Immortals squad. They want to knock down top lane tier 2, but they don't quite know what they can pull the trigger on. I believe they haven't seen Svenskaren's Gragas in a while, so maybe some defense for now. Looking for the bind, not quite going to land that. They got those wards. Nole earns 15 for himself and sweeps the ward out.
Meanwhile, still in the mid lane, we continually see Pobelter pushing the wave and trying to roam. Bjergsen is taking the CS lead in a fairly significant one, but it's trying to set up plays like this that's causing Immortals the extra pressure.
50 was spotted. Now they see Sven onto this one, 2v2, and this one now a knock-up in towards double lift. Here comes the Heroes entrance as well. They get the knock-up, but no damage on the Xayah so far. The re-engages. Bjergsen has joined the fight as well, and the first one comes in for a double with the trade kill. As both junglers have fallen into this one, TP going to be canceled out of the Cho'Gath. Flame wanted to join, but won't do so.
Now there's an advantage to teleport to TSM. You have to worry about Haunter coming in.
Yeah, TP disadvantage. You've got to be careful about pulling the trigger now if you're Immortals from the top side. 3 minutes, you've got to wait for this one.
You know, hoping for the pressure to build up right there. Xmithy, you could tell, was very hesitant about that engage in the first place. He put his Demacian standard in the tribe rush, wondering if Svenskeren was there. He wasn't, but then ended up getting caught in the jungle. I think well played by Immortals to match the kills after they were the ones caught out of position.
See if they can get any more out of this one, though. They're going to just shove the lane and then leave. Immortals still push lead in the duo lane, but now a roam towards the bot side. The source of the TP, Haunter has flash. The flash now to get a bit of damage. The silence, he can't get away from Pobelter. And he's going to flash the taunt. Pobelter can't chase him that one yet.
Oh!
Forward and nothing else to be had. Never in range of the CC, and the silence wore out. Haunter gets away.
Definitely a little bit of a timer still left on Pobelter's flash, so he could not chase him down. And it ends up just being a 1-for-1 flash trade, even with the roam down. Again, though, CS in mid lane. Bjergsen takes his toll.
You can see plus 30 right now. That's what he's going to have for this one. Pobelter's going to TP back into the mid lane, it looks like, and catch up what of the farm he can. His adaptive helm is done, so he can survive Cinder pretty easily.
Yeah, Bjergsen going for an incredibly early Void Staff because he's tickling Pobelter right now. Everyone also with Mercury Treads across the front line for Immortals makes it so Bjergsen needs to get that damage. And Immortals definitely seem a little bit rattled early on in this game. Yes, it's very close. They're definitely still in this game. They're actually even winning it after this turret goes down. But going for that Rift Herald, not a mistake you almost ever see Immortals make. The really deep dives that are very close to backfiring, those aren't the high percentage plays we're used to seeing Immortals make in a lot of their games. We'll see if they can get their footing later on.
Some of that can be TSM playing good defense as well, of course. You don't often get easy plays against one of the world's best, and at least one of North America's best. Haunts were able to answer that turret in the bot lane. Got the lane pressure finally, even despite getting ganked earlier.
And remember, he still has that teleport advantage. That's why Immortals are pulling out of the TSM jungle right now. Haunter does continue. He gets the turret as well as threatens joining the rest of the team. Something Flame cannot do.
We are on a more opened up map, though, and it's Immortals who hold the double teleport. So a 1-3-1 kind of naturally benefits the squad that can teleport their other one into the fight.
Yeah, they hold double teleport, but they have 0 of them available.
Well, sure, not at this exact second.
Yeah, they need to be able to set that up in the later stages of the game. But in order to set up a successful 1-3-1, they actually need to have a guy who can beat another guy in a 1v1, and currently they don't have that. Haunter's going to be building up towards Frozen Mallet, and I don't see Flame actually being able to win that 1v1 reliably anytime soon. So in that way, TSM has a lot more control, as well as potentially more reliable initiation.
I actually like this choice by Flame right here. He looks like he's going towards an early Warmogs. He's going to be stuck in a long lane, and he'll just get out of combat regen, so Haunter can chunk him to half, and then 5 seconds later, he's back to full HP anyway and gets to survive the lane some more.
The problem with Gnar, though, is usually that you can't get out of combat.
Yeah?
And he will chase you down.
Could be an issue. We'll see if he gets the help from his team.
Yeah, in that 1v1, if we see it play out later, it will all be about whether or not Flame can land the Rupture, because if he does, then he can disengage. If he does not, then the Gnar could run him down. So that'll be the skill to look for as the Warmogs is completed.
And it's long lanes everywhere. Only one outer turret in top lane remains right now. Mid is not where these guys are going to stand anyway. So whether it's top or bot, there's going to be a lot of real estate to cover, and those chases can definitely happen with 3 of these turrets already fallen. Bjergsen's going to grab his blue buff. We'll see what the next play ends up being. TSM so far have been uncontested with Drake pickups, so despite the fact that the gold looks close, the Drake pickups I think certainly give TSM the momentary edge and total power this game. Not too far from Double's first item completion. However, all the money on TSM means he's 2 item spike already with that Infinity Edge plus the Shiv.
Yeah, it's getting to that point. You can feel the tension rising here. The opening game, gold extremely close. Really the only main determining factor here is the extra Drakes for TSM so far. And Immortals are still looking for that opening. They have this big combo they want to use with the beef balls.
Exactly, and they want to use it specifically onto Bjergsen, and that's why Bjergsen's summoner spells are worth their weight in gold this game, because if he has those summoner spells up, the combo can't be pulled off by Immortals. Xmithie goes mid lane, Bjergsen holds them at that time, which is pretty risky to do because the ultimate can come through and the cooldowns would then be desynced. I actually want to see Immortals burn more on Bjergsen to get his summoner spells out, because the Jarvan-Galio combo that Immortals want to pull off in team fights is reliant on trapping someone in the Cataclysm. Bjergsen can flash out of it, and Doublelift can immune it with his ultimate right now. So those are the guys they need to be able to get, and they can't do it unless they burn Bjergsen's summoners.
We'll see if they can find themselves the opening onto the engagement of the mid laner. Item done for Doublelift. He actually got Hurricane early, which I think is very smart considering he's facing triple melee, and they're all beefy. He needs optimal anti-melee damage output, so smart of him to see the build adapt up, but he's still behind Cody Sun on the curve, who's got his second Zeal inventory, but TSM first in the mid lane. They can burn this down fast. Down to 1/8, and gonna back away. Don't want to get engaged upon just yet. Ardent Sensor done for Biofrost. Knight's Vow in as well for the Gragas. There's a lot of support available. Similar for Xmithie though.
Other thing to keep track of is any of these deeper wards to try and teleport on. Right now, TSM are actually sending Hansar back down to the side lane on the bottom side to get the wave pushing during Immortals' rebuttal here in the mid lane.
Tristana kills turrets a lot faster than Xayah right now as well. Plus the front line can hold off pretty well. That's a good chunk on the turret without any retaliation.
The split push is taking its toll. Even though TSM takes some damage on the mid turret, the wave has to be answered. Now Flame is heading over.
That's some meaningful damage on the Sven though. Half HP on the Gragas. Yeah, Hansar shoves the waves, comes back to mid. Show has to grab the wave himself. So 30 seconds of 5v4 in the mid lane. This wave's gonna get pushed in. And Immortals have to defend this.
Yeah, it's a game of pressure right now. There's a minion wave hitting a really weak turret off the top side.
Tristana went top.
Another window.
He's gonna look for the threat. Pillwalter wants to push back the Hansar Gnar and does so, and buys enough time to clear the wave away. The turret just barely is in, and oh, the Grank came in and Ole just died to the unleashed power. Down he goes.
I think that was a Bjergsen stun on the outside that caught him before he was able to get his black shield up. Wow, he gets 100% bursted down.
Yeah, we'll get a replay of that, but we've talked about the timing Ole needs to have on these black shields, and he has been consistently late this game. TSM able to strike first. That'll give him the turret.
There we go. Mid turret has fallen. That one's so difficult, so often. They get it to happen. TSM now feeling pretty solid. 2,000 gold lead almost to their names, plus the 2 Drakes looking very good in the mid game.
Ole looking like he's trying to flank on the side.
Yeah, it was just a stun.
Yeah.
No time to even put up the shield.
And it wasn't a combo stun, so to speak. He didn't Q and then E, which has a slightly longer animation read. It was just an orb sitting on the ground that Bjergsen shot into it.
Kind of the Orianna style, leaving the ball on the ground for a while. Hope they forget about it.
Yeah.
Finally finds his mark.
And it might have been that Ole had no ability to hit Black Shield. He was casting Tormented Soil. You can't cast 2 spells at the same time, so that quarter second is right when he went for it.
Yeah.
And hey, props to Bjergsen for a well-timed Scout of the Week. Lands the stun, well played. TSM get the pick. And it meant that that turret went down. So now, sitting with the lead, Ocean Drake has spawned, and we'll see if TSM get their third of this game.
Once again, Immortals are grouping up here in the bottom side. Hansar's currently being chased, but the Drake spawn as well does pull some extra emphasis down to that side.
And reliability of the initiation is so huge right now. Being able to sneak this Drake would be massive. It will cost them a turret at least. Flame wants to nom it for an extra stack.
Working on that one, they can buy the time. Of course, top lane will fall on a trade. What is he going to Ocean Drake for a turret? I'll take the turret. The sun's going to land on Xmithie. Gets the black shield, no explosive cast, and it actually whiffs.
Whoa.
Sven doing his best to pressure the opposing jungler, misses the skill shot, and out he goes. And Xmithie going to lead the charge back to the mid lane, and without a Gragas disengage, this turret will fall. And now all turrets the same, Ocean Drake's the same as well. Immortals getting back.
So in the end, those were 2 weakened outer turrets that were traded, but the extra Drake goes over to Immortals.
Yeah.
They do come out ahead.
And the value of the mid turret, I would argue, is greater than that top lane turret, especially when mid lane priority is the name of the game when trying to control Baron, which is where the game is at now, 27 minutes and very close. A very good sequence there for Immortals.
More magic event coming out of Bjergsen pretty soon. Leandri's not far away. The flat pen, even just from the Haunted guys, means he will eviscerate the squishies on the Immortal side, and that means Cody's on an Ole could die to just the ultimate. No MR on those backliners.
Yeah, and the game in such a tight point right now with 3 turrets to 3 and only 1,500 gold. Bjergsen is at the point where he can actually do damage, but the Immortals tanks are also very strong right now. So much of these fights will be about the initiation. And I think that's why we haven't seen a fight in a while. They want the reliability.
They're going to dunk in. Devil's going to force to be jumping away with his flash. That is Summoner's Spell down. Pobel's going to go for the stun right again onto Sven, forcing the flash into the Gragas as well. By this one going to land, but it's still a very tanky Pobelter. Hanser waiting in the wings. He's going to be jumped on. The hop goes back and forth, and the giant quickness coming through as well. The tank's still very durable in the front line, but they're going back into that one. The dunk coming through as well, and of course, Double Up out of disengage. Look at the damage output. They've knocked down 2. TSM picked them up. The flash to follow with the escape out of Immortals. Still 3 alive. The chase in. Looking for the slow onto Ole. And it's going to be a turn, looks like now towards Baron for TSM.
That was actually an incredibly controlled mid lane fight. You know, in playoffs, we've been used to seeing all these explosive and very chaotic ones, but TSM, even with Hanser coming in as mini-Gnar, were able to control it for long enough to get those 2 kills, and now the Baron is the next target.
They're all very healthy in a 5 versus 3. Flame is out of there. There is no smite to be had. This looks like Baron for TSM.
Completely clean, 9-4 in kills. Baron picked up 28.5 minutes in, even the clean smite out of Svenskar into the jungle. TSM looking poised to take game 1. I think keep this going.
Yeah, and here in that last fight, we kind of see the folly of the Jarvan Galio when you don't have any summoner spells down from the opponent. That immediate initiation was flashed right away, and then TSM got to manage the fight and control it from there.
They were able to keep in range. Good re-engage there from Biofrost, buying some extra time. Hanser built up his rage bar during it. Let's take another look here. Double F is the target, and he flashes instead of using his ultimate because they want to continue this fight. They want to re-engage after those big moves from Immortals have already been used. So Double F wants to keep his ultimate for the extra damage.
And because of the front lines, these fights have to go in several cycles, the layering of the CC again and again. But that re-engage by Immortals was what ultimately sealed it for TSM. TSM still had enough cooldowns there. Immortals didn't have the Galio ultimate to protect Xmithy. So when he went in that second time, TSM had the cooldowns up again to kill him.
Well done. The high damage coming out of Double Up from Bjergsen. They knocked those guys out. The Baron, the reward for the team fight for almost 5,000 gold up here. Looking for the next play. Biofrost sees a blue buff running away. The mid lane siege, but will be stopped out so far by the Cho'Gath. TSM will still have 2 minutes with his Baron buff to knock down some more turrets. You'd expect maybe 2 or more to go down with this, depending on how well Immortals can defend. The blue steal is something. Also setting up the bot lane.
Immortals now are full on defense, trying to just continue to clear these waves out. Cody Sun does have the static shiv now, so he's going to be able to get bottom lane, but mid lane is the target.
There's the flash, the jump engage. They're looking at the Shogun. Look at the damage up with Flame. Not quite going to fall, though. Explosive cast. Still not enough, and he will stay alive for now. The re-engage, the taunt, the root onto the turret. Do they have the output, though? They don't have Cody Sun just yet. He finally joins the fight, but Ole is dead, and so is Pobo. The 2 for 0. Redemption buys even more, and TSM yet another 2 for 0. Almost getting the kill, and Cody Sun might just burn down, but the limited damage not quite enough.
Saved by Knight's Vow from Xmithy, but TSM knows exactly when to strike. They see Cody Sun on the other side. He is pretty much the only damage for Immortals at this stage in the game when you consider TSM's front line. And Immortals pretty much all need to peel for him. But if he's not in the fight, TSM has plenty of time to kill the front line and take down the turrets.
And Biofrost didn't even have to flash for that engage with the Rakan. They just jump on him right under the turret. There was no escape there for Flame. And TSM want to take more.
Yeah, they still have Pobelter down and no Galio ultimate.
4v5 going to be a hard fight to be had. Stun's going to land on Xmithy, stays alive for now, and there's a clean disengage for TSM. No risks here for these players. 45 seconds on Baron buff. Bottom inhibitor opened to win that fight too.
Biofrost just comes out of the fog of war, walks straight up and gets the engagement onto the Cho'Gath. Flame does critically get off his Gargoyle Stoneplate, which gives him the damage reduction to barely survive this, but then TSM just re-engage once again. Redemption comes down and they heal back up.
And at the start of that fight, Cody Sun, Ole, and Xmithy were all off on the bottom side. So TSM had ample time to ramp up during that fight. And as you can see, Bjergsen even had his ultimate at the end. He was just waiting for Cody Sun to show his face before casting the ultimate.
So Cody Sun gets a QSS and a last whisper. He might just survive getting one shot by Bjergsen, but of course that Cinder's still building more ability power, and that curve looks pretty good for him. Let's see what comes in next in this one. 9,000 gold lead. Baron timing out, but TSM now in prime position to make this one happen. Third Ocean spawning in 15 seconds. They might not even want it. Looks like top lane's the priority.
Yeah, there are a lot of options now for TSM, and Immortals already got to be thinking about the changes they can make for next game. Biofrost here on Rakan, still 100% kill participation. He has been the one to consistently start off most of their moves.
Absolutely smashed this game. Immortals was trying hard to play around the bottom side. That's what Jarvan Galio can enable, as well as the shoving of Trist. But because of Biofrost initiations, as Immortals was going for that turret, they got enough kills in the early game and have just paid it forward from there.
See what comes in next. They've got the Talisman of Ascension to keep the dives going. Biofrost can certainly send the team in. TSM's front line clearly durable enough. Ole waiting around for the top lane to be pushed in. Fusion checks the rush, no one's there. Who's going to be cleared, and looks like Immortal's going to have to give away this turret. There is no Tristana yet in range. So that's going to fall, and TSM going to look for round 2. No, they're going to back off for now, actually. Still very measured and very slow so far in this game, TSM, and no rush to close it out.
I think it's very worthwhile to wait on the next cooldown of Baron. They have the tools to initiate when Immortals goes to check for the Baron. The Syndra stuns from Fog of War, the Rakan from over 2,000 units away, as well as the Gnar split push to make it so Flame can't be the big beef ball in front, just eating the initiations from TSM. They're playing this one very well.
As what you were tracking before, Jad, the flash of Syndra. Bjergsen used it offensively last time to try and one-shot Cody-Sun, and that may be the only thing that they have to worry about. Right now, TSM want to come for the second inhibitor, and they will get it.
It's going to be a 5v4 because Hanser knocked down Flame below half HP and kind of earned them the priority on that side of the map. So 2 inhibs down, Drake alive, Baron 1.5.
Yeah, and I think what Kobe just mentioned about Bjergsen's flash is one of the main reasons TSM is playing this slowly. And if you're Immortals, the name of the game for them is to find a window where they can get out of their base and pull off the Jarvan Galio combo onto Syndra. I think that's the only world in which they win a fight, and they only have about another minute until that flash is back for Bjergsen.
It's going to be pretty convenient timing because that's when Baron comes up. TSM wants to go for that play in the first place, so a lot of chips falling the right way. Domino's set up. We'll see if they can fall in towards Immortal's base. To clear away the rest of the minions. Bjergsen level 18. Death almost waiting for him in base. Roughly has the gold for it. It's pretty close.
Even though Immortals are down 10,000 gold almost here, they still have an opportunity to try and punish TSM around this objective if they get a little bit too over-aggressive. It's going to be very difficult, though. 2 inhibitors down means super minions are going to constantly pressure the base, and TSM don't have to make that risk. If they did, it would be a huge blunder.
Well, here comes the setup. 20 seconds on Baron, 10,000 gold lead TSM. Death cap done for Bjergsen means he might actually one-shot Cody-Sun from full HP, depending how many spheres are on the ground. That's going to be difficult life here for the Yordle Gunner.
Now there's plenty of stone plates on Immortals, but no locket yet, which is one of the main things that can guard against that burst. I'm a little surprised that Hanser is down on this side of the map instead of helping escort the super minions against Cho'Gath, as Cho'Gath would be able to teleport along the rolls in there.
Knock on Gnar, half HP, but there's a stun. Cody-Sun is going to get deleted! The damage reduction saves his life. Pope Belter. They're all taking turns keeping him alive. TP canceled by Flame. He would have been in the middle of 5.
Even if he's alive, though, he's going to have to go heal off of something. He's trying to get the minions in the mid-wave while TSM are on the Baron.
Doesn't have any lifesteal other than Ardent Sensor, who's not there to shield him.
Smithy's low on health, but he does have the Flag and Drag if he wants to go for a steal. There's no vision right now, though, and here comes the chase in. Biofrost wants him. Black Shield going to Flag and Drag away, meaning they can go for this one. The rushdown's going to be there. The smite's going to land, and Flame couldn't get there in time. So now a 5v5 with the Baron buff on. The first kill to Rakan, though, and Flame is tanky. Gets the chop and buys a bit of time. 4v4 now the type. The fight keeps going. Pawalter in the front. Cody-Sun not touched as well, but who can get more damage from the marksman is now Immortals forced to run, but Pawalter slowed down with a Frozen Mallet. He will die for this one. And a 4v3 on the map. Immortals forced to run away. Smithy, Cody-Sun, and Ole now forced to defend their base. 2 inhibs down, and the TP coming in. Hanser wants to close down the base. Cody-Sun gonna look for a pick on a Sven. Gonna rocket jump forward, look for the kills. Not quite gonna get it in the duel. Gonna be won by double. The rest of the damage is there, and it's just time to close out the game. There's Baron buff super minions, and Hanser will walk them into the Nexus. TSM certainly going to secure game 1 of this series.
What an opening game here for TSM. Very controlled through the mid-game, and they will be the victors.
3 to go to make it 3 in a row. They've got the first one, 2 more to be had.
Yeah, TSM definitely starting this series the way they wanted to. You're looking at Immortals as well. They'll have to find a way to bounce back. Tunnel vision may have occurred for Immortals right there, going to the bottom lane again and again and again, where TSM was able to shut it down. And then when the map opened up, TSM's experience dominated that game. They found the initiations, they controlled the vision, and they got kill after kill after kill in closing out that game.
They definitely look businesslike heading back to the locker room there.